And good morning, folks out there in TV land. Welcome back to another edition of Jedi Academy. I'm Ranger J 1999, part of the RSG crew. And welcome to the Jedi Academy. What is the Jedi Academy, you may be asking? Well, that's where we hang out and bring the best and the brightest of YouTubers and game changers and sprinkle in a bit of mental damage from the RSG crew and try to answer all your shows. This is a Q&A show for Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, and the way it works is if you have a question, go ahead and put that in the chat. Dr. Finn, Medicine Woman, is here to scoop up those questions, and we will get them read out and get them answered to the best of our abilities. Speaking of Dr. Finn, Medicine Woman, he is here.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Finn. How's your day going?
I woke up, and I'm trying to recruit for my guild, and I want to go back to sleep. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean,
recruiting right now is a pain, I have to say.
Why?
We have like one, maybe two spots that we need to fill, and it's just been it's been a little bit harder, I think, because there's a lot of guilds now finishing Heroic Sith, and then so they're kind of looking for not only a guild that's doing Heroic Sith, but one that they can potentially get into the top 10. And so it's harder to find higher GP players because they know that they may not get top 10, so then they look for like those that are just on the cusp of finishing Heroic Sith, or like just started it and their GP is a little bit higher, so it's interesting. Interesting position in the game right now.
That's right. Also joining us today, it's I think let's see who we do have. We do have the one and only Warrior from Warrior Presents here with us today.
Hi, I'm T-Money. How are y'all doing?
Oh, hey T-Money, how are you?
I'm good. Let's talk to Warrior.
Hey, and welcome back. This is your man Warrior.
That's right. Let's go back to T-Money. How's that maple syrup treating you?
Oh, it's amazing. It's delicious stuff.
Now, you sound a little bit more southern than you did last time there, T-Money.
I moved. I decided to go down to sweet Alabama.
Can Cozy Spoo talk to T-Money? I want to see Cozy Spoo talk to T-Money.
That's T-Money. What are you doing in Alabama? You're Canadian. Did we let her? Where'd she go?
I don't know. I think she's mad at us. She left.
Oh my god. Alright, so T-Money probably is sleeping in and forgot that she's supposed to be on the show like she always does. I know we'll have Xylo on from Xylo Gaming here. He'll be on here. Hopefully he'll bring the baby, because the baby gets better answers. I'm kidding. Of course the baby doesn't get better answers. And I'm sure Reman will pop in when he can and everything. Everyone's just running a little bit late. So
I made sure to add him. He's in the group call this time. I didn't forget.
Right,
I
that's, yeah, Dr. Finn last week forgot to add Reman. So all you folks can
yeah, that was my fault.
Yeah.
I apologize to Reman. That was totally on.
What else? 73 say, wow, Warrior introduced by Mr. Hinky the Christmas Poo.
To which Freegon Ruby said, Mrs. Hanky the T-Money Poo.
That's right.
Hi-ho, big neighbor. Wanna get high?
Oh, I love South Park. They're the best characters ever. Alright, so go ahead and get your questions in. We will get those scooped up. Dr. Finn is on top of it. Trying to think of what's going on this week. I mean, nothing big was introduced. We're doing the territory battles. I mean,
The Sith Ray changes.
I mean, well, yeah, we had the Sith Raid announcements. I mean, well, let's get your feedback on that, Warrior. So we had the announcements for the Sith Raid. We've already covered it on our channel, but what are your thoughts on the upcoming changes they're making to the Sith Raid?
I made a whole video on it, so if people want to check out my opinion, I was heavily winded in the last 5 minutes of that video, but you know, this is the deal. They are trying really hard.
Yes,
they want make the community happy. They're trying to listen. I don't want to say trying. They are listening. They listen. But see, they have the bigger picture that we don't have. So, of course, there's things that they can change and will. There are things that constructurally are going to take too long for them to change, or would take a long period of time, and so they have to put it into their play out of when would it go in, and we can't see when they're fixing stuff, rather that kind of thing. There's other things that they don't want to fix because financially it would be detrimental to their business model, and they don't want to come out and say that, because I mean that's kind of sounds rude, but I mean it is capitalism, and they are supposed to make money, or this place shuts down. Like, they still have to make money with the game, and so anyway, I'm not saying anything bad at all. I'm just saying that they've got the bigger picture, and with that bigger picture, some things aren't going to get changed necessarily. But we are in a unique situation right now where they've fixed a lot of stuff that needed to be fixed, and I think that 85% of the masses are going to be happy with, and it should help 85% of the people. But the top 15%, the 15% that actually keeps the game afloat, they really did nothing for. And when I say that, what I mean is people that are consistent spenders in the game, that have decent rosters, that are doing heroic Sith. They are not really going to see any changes or benefits to them, even if there are minute changes to the raid that benefits them slightly. It's not raid reward related, which is the only aspect of it that really has been literally hammered home on forums and Reddit and Facebook and everywhere. It's just, that's everything everyone's been talking about, is let's make the rewards worth what the effort is. If we've got to have a 3 million plus GP roster to even compete in the Sith raid, then let's give rewards contributory to what you're contributing as far as a team. And currently, the salvage pieces outside of the top 10 are, I hate to use the word trash, but they're trash. Since Gear 12 Plus was introduced, I've been able to create one piece of Gear 12 Plus, and I post normally between 20 and 30 when I participate. I'm in the 20s, like 21, 22 in the raid. I mean, out of 50 people, that's not terrible, and my rewards for 22nd place and 40th place are no different. They really aren't. And so I could post a 0 and get a 40th place possibly, or 42nd place, or I can try really hard and climb up the ladder and do my best with a 4.3 mil GP roster and get basically nothing more. And sometimes the 42nd place gets me equal to or greater than rewards because of the randomization. So it's at a point where there's really zero incentive for me to do the raid, and the raid's already the most difficult, time-consuming thing in the game. So just like everybody says, oh, I want to sim this, I want to sim that, I don't want to do that 10 rounds anymore, I don't want to do this 10 round, this blah, blah, blah. Everybody's looking for everything to be fast. Like, the Sith raid's one of those things where it takes a lot of time, and if I am going to set some time aside and do that, I want at the end, when the hour's over and I get my rewards, there to be something in there for somebody in my lineup that actually benefits them. And the salvage right now is coming so slowly that I'll have 3 pieces crafted in the next 2 months. It's like I will have crafted basically 1 piece a month at the best, at the fastest. And 1 piece a month, when you're talking about 150 characters times 2 pieces, that's 300 pieces. You're talking about 300 months. Do the math, okay? So it's just not fast enough, and I know it needs to be a grind, and I'm okay with that. It needs to be a grind, but something's got to give. They've got to increase the amount of salvage being provided at ranks in the 20s and possibly in the 30s. I get if someone's posting a 0 and they're like 48th in the raid, then maybe their salvage should be 2 pieces of salvage, but not in the 30s. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a 50 salvage is ridiculous when you're talking about somebody who actually put in effort. So anyway, it's just, the problem is everybody in my guild, we're all top guys, just like the top 50 guilds are, and so this is a problem for the top 50 guilds. And in fact, a lot of the top 50 guilds are starting to lose people, being reconstructed. And you guys were just talking about it 2 seconds ago with Affinity was, where people are, it's hard to recruit higher end people for territory wars because they want to go to a lower guild because they want to score higher on the Sith raid because it selfishly benefits them, and I don't blame them. I consider it mentally on a daily basis. And good for them for, I guess, being willing to just go wherever, whenever, however. But, once you're planted in a community, like, who wants to leave the community they've been in for over 2 years, I don't. So I'm hoping that through my plea and through what they know the community wants, that they reassess the high-end salvage rates and try and make it just a little bit more equitable for the amount of effort and money investment that we've put into the game, that there's a little bit more return on investment, because right now the ROI is, for us as gamers, is horrible right now, and I don't want that for the health of the company. I don't want that for the health of the business. We all want this game to thrive and do well, and I'm excited for the future, but I just need it to, the slot machines in Vegas, if there's a particular machine that's not paying out enough, they call it loose slots. They loosen it up and get it to pay out more. It's mathematically something they have to do through the computer, and then it pays out a little bit more. And if they find a machine that's paying out too much, then they go to that machine and they reprogram it to be a little tighter slot. And so the thing's got to kind of play out like that in this game. They've got to kind of adjust the payouts accordingly, more or less based on, if everybody was running around with 19 Gear 12 plus pieces already, we would know they got way loose slots and they've got to figure that out. And that's not the case. It's the opposite. We've got, everybody running around with virtually none, which caused mayhem, which is why those Gear 12 plus pieces sold. And I think that was probably their plan, and that was smart on their end, but rough for somebody like me who's a constant spender, because I feel like I deserve a little more than that in the game. And I guess the deserve part comes in because I'm throwing real money at them, and I'm supporting their families and their eating habits and their, you know what I mean? It's not like that it's not small doses of income. I'm heavily supporting them. So I guess a little bit of entitlement comes with that, because if I go to a restaurant and I give them $150 for dinner, I kind of expect a higher level of service. And, if I'm going to play a game and I'm going to invest more than $5 into that game, I expect a little higher level of ROI on that. So just my thoughts, but they are listening. In fact, I got feedback already from the team that they heard me on my video. I was very polite. I will always try to be tactful and polite, and they know where I'm coming from. And that they said they heard me. That doesn't mean anything will change, but I'm on the radar. The conversation's on the radar, and that's all I actually can ask for. So
that's science. All right. Well, the questions are coming in hot and heavy, so let's start getting to some of these.
Let me start with one question first, though, Ranger. So this is a question. It wasn't in the chat here, but it was something actually that became a little bit of a heated conversation in our RSG Discord. So I'm curious what Ranger's Warrior's thoughts are on this.
Let's give a crap with Ranger things. Go ahead.
Well, it was in our Discord, so if you didn't read
that's fine. That's fine, Finity. Just you know what? I'm gonna go eat some breakfast.
And you too, because both of you are in high-end guilds, right? And so the turnover is something people are concerned about, because people are looking for like another guild where they can maybe place higher. So somebody had asked in the chat what their thoughts were on a rotation for the top 10, meaning that either there was a couple of ideas. One is that maybe you rotate between a different top 10 every few days. So you have like different groups that will get top 10 for one raid after another in Sith raid, or potentially you do kind of like a 25 attack and 25 don't attack type things in order to kind of allow for a bit more rotation at the top. So being in higher end guilds, and we'll start with Warrior, what are your thoughts on something like that for a guild to try and like distribute the Gear 12 pieces and the Treya shards a little bit more?
Okay, so I'm vehemently against it for a plethora of reasons, and we'll go into why briefly. But first off, I've got an individual in my guild, goes by Lacey Basie, and Lacey has put in extreme amount of hours for research, education, practice, getting in and out of the raid, 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 trying. And Lacey Bassey deserves that #1 slot when Lacey gets it, because Lacey's working harder than anybody else on the guild raid. And it's not about the Treya shards. It is, but it's not. It's not. Not in this raid. In this raid, it's about the Gear 12 Plus pieces. And to say, Lacey, with all your energy, effort, financial investment, everything, we want you to just take a back seat for this. It's not the same as back in the day when everybody wanted a 7-star Han Solo. And so we would say, oh, we got our 7-star Han Solos, we'll take the back seat, and you guys go ahead and get your 7-star Han Solo. What you're telling people is, you've spent more time, energy, effort, and care more about something, yet we want you to take a backseat to other individuals who haven't taken the same amount of time, energy, effort, or care, or possible financial investment, because we just want to be equitable with Gear 12. Well, what the hell is the point then of investing all the time, energy, effort, and all of that if you're not going to get that additional? I'm not opposed to #1 through 10 getting more gear or fully crafted. That's great. I just want the rest of the guild to get a little more salvage, because at this point, at the rate of salvage drop, we're not going to be able to craft enough pieces to keep up with the top 10, and I could leave and go to another guild. But to ask those people who are in those couple actual decent slots, see, this is the problem. There should be 50 decent slot payouts in a Heroic Sith raid payout. There shouldn't be 3. And that's the issue. It's not that we should have those 3 people. This is like saying, well, the machine's broke, so we're just going to force the people who are in the broken machine to move back so other people can get a piece of that slightly broken machine. No. Let's just fix the machine so everyone gets paid out equitably based on their efforts. There's a lot of people that can get 30 million, 25 million, 30 million in the raid. I can't. I mean, if I really spent a lot of time, I could. I have the roster for it. When I go in, I get 9 to 15 million. And that's good. It's really good. In fact, that'd be #1 in other guilds. But in my guild, that's nothing. That's not, 9 million doesn't get you into the top 20. And that's okay. But 9 million in a Heroic Sith raid should get me more than 2 salvage furnace pieces. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's where I'm pointing. And I'm vehemently against someone like Lacey having to step down for me and purposely have to stunt her usage. I mean, she'd pretty much have to do one team in one phase and hope they don't do as well as they normally do so I could beat her, because she's just better at it than me. And that's not fair. That makes it not fun for her. That makes me have to try really, really hard and have to be on point in that very moment. And all because we can't expand the payouts to a few more people just a little better than they are. I mean, it's only, all that is an acknowledgement that the top is the only good part. It's not actually a fix, in my opinion.
No, and I think, coming from the same point of view as Warriors, like, look, Treya shards are not what this, when you're going to get your Treya shards, but I usually just post a 0 now because I just can't compete with some of the higher end guys, right? I'm kind of like, you're at Warrior. It's not that I can't do really well in Sith Raid, I can, but it's like, they're going to do better than me. Why even try? Because if you don't get in the top 20, you're going to get the same reward. So I'm like, give me my Treya shards. If you don't get the top 10,
they're trash rewards.
Really, pretty much, yeah. But yeah,
they are.
I'm just talking, if you were looking for Treya shards, because you'll get a couple more at, at 10 to 20, right? Was it 1 or 2? But my viewpoint is this is a long-term goal. Just like when the first Gear 12 came out, everybody was freaking out about this, and this had been brought up before. I'm like, guys, relax. Eventually it's going to become common gear. It really is. Everybody will get caught up. It'll start coming out. Something will be changed, So, I mean, I take what I get. I agree with Warrior about the rewards, they need to be looked at, but I'm not stressed about it. I've gotten a couple pieces of Gear 12 from salvage and stuff, and it's like, and then it's fine. We'll listen. Creating a rotation just is not, it's nonsensical. It just doesn't make sense, and it's hard enough to get everything coordinated for raids and everything. It's not like the hat or the I mean, for us, since we clear it so fast, it's like, if you want to try to participate and get higher, you can. If you don't, just want to post a 0, you can do that too. You're still going to get rewards.
I hope you didn't
and
kill
that's fine.
anyone I know
So,
for this.
yeah, creating a rotation and stuff, I mean, a lot of people put time and effort. You know, people trying to finish their Treya, and you know, and I'm of the mindset like, hey, rock and roll. You know, because typically those that get what they need, you know, they start slacking off a little bit on the raid, and then other people pick up. You know, I mean, if a guild wants to do that to where someone's gotten a bunch of stuff, I mean, that's something a guild can decide on. If that's something they want to do to try to get some of their other players' stuff. But if their mindset is just clear it, get the rewards, then that's okay. Gear 12 Plus is going to come to us, guys, one way or the other. There's going to be more opportunities to get it. So it'll eventually catch up to where we all have Gear 12 Plus pieces, and we're like, what were we stressing about again? So, yeah, I'm vehemently against it as well. When you get it, you'll get it. You know, it's not that bad. Let's see here. Let's start getting to some questions here. They are coming in hot and heavy. So it'll just be me, Warrior, and Old Finity answering your questions here. So we're going to get in there and start asking some questions. Here's one from Old Man Wilson. Here's his first question. What shipment tune would be the best one to purchase with crystals? Bastila, Nest, or Bosk? What do you think, Warrior? I have my opinion about this, but what do you think?
Well, all three are good.
Yes.
But, I mean, Bastila would only make sense if you have, like, you know, General Kenobi, Ezra, Hermit Yoda, Grandmaster Yoda. Like, so if you have all the OP Jedi characters maxed out, then Bastila makes complete sense. And she's going to make even more sense over the next 6 months. So it would be a no-brainer. Bastila's the way to go. And she's really great in Territory Wars, and you'd be a huge contributor to your guild for that. If you don't have all the pieces to the Jedi puzzle, then I would say Nest is the next best, because Nest is a plug and play and works everywhere and for every mode in the game. And if you don't need that edge in arena and stuff like that, and you're really trying to develop out your bounty hunters, and you've got all the other bounty hunters pretty much maxed out, but you don't have Bosk, then Bosk is kind of a no-brainer there. So it really depends on where you're at in development with your roster. I mean, you know, if you don't have bounty hunters, Bosk may not make sense right now. If you don't have the Jedi, then she doesn't make sense right now, and so that would lean into Nest. So it really depends on what you have developed and which ones you don't have.
Yeah, it's all about what you want to focus in on. If you have the Jedi team, you're like, I just need a Bastila, go for it. If you have an arena team, you think Nest will make it happen, go for Nest. If you're got all the bounty hunters done and you want to rock and roll with Bosk, get Bosk.
And if you're wondering who I'm buying out of the shipments with crystals, because I am doing that with one character. I try to do that with no characters most of the time, but right. Once in a while there's a character I end up accelerating. Right now it's L3. I am getting L3. She's a robot. She's a tank. She's a scoundrel. She's so many things. She's a great plug-and-play character, and so I'm actually accelerating her farming. And it's also because Kira and Vander Trui are now farmable, so I'm farming them normally, and she kind of makes sense in that team. So I'm getting her out of shipments, but that's the only one I'm doing currently in shipments.
All right, let's see here. Next one is from Zell XEHL. Oh, is that the right Zell? Star Wars Galaxy Heroes question. With an upcoming focus on Clone Wars and bounty hunters, do you think we'll see a bounty hunter Asajj Ventress? I don't see it. I don't know about you guys, Finn, Warrior, do you guys see it? I don't see a bounty hunter. I mean, the two bounty hunters I think they're going to bring into the game next will be Aura Singh and Jango Fett. But I don't see a bounty hunter Asajj Ventress. You guys agree, disagree?
I agree. I don't see it.
Finn?
Yeah, I agree too.
Okay.
I agree.
All right. Another question from Old Man Wilson. Question: have any of you used Greedo in place of Han Solo for Sith Raid Phase 3? What do you think? Is Greedo worth it? I've never used that. What? What do you? What do we think of old Greedo instead of old Han?
Oh, if it takes too much to get Greedo to work. So the reason why Greedo works so well in all of the shots, I mean, I've seen Greedo shoot 8 times in a row. That's what he's talking about. And under an isolate, right. Or I mean, under the standalone and all of that, it could be pretty insane. But he works best with his other bounty hunters, and you can't set that team up correctly with bounty hunters. And so I've seen a few people try, but there's some missing pieces. And when they try to put those pieces in, they have to take pieces out. And there's just not enough room for everything you would need to really make it overpowered. I really think Han Solo still beat Best's Greedo in that. Plus, there's a lot more RNG with Greedo, where you get a little more consistency with Han.
Yeah, Finn, you do dumb stuff. Have you tried it with the Greedo?
No, I haven't, because you basically need a lead-in team too. Because if you're using, because you're not going to use the same Chex Mix team, you're kind of using a different setup with the Boba lead, and you need to get the contract, but the only really way to get the contract, you have to basically start the battle with one lightsaber up in order to kind of get the contract going quickly. Otherwise, you're going to spend way too much time, and you're not going to get the topple on Traya in order to get Greedo to go repeatedly. So you actually need 2 squads in order to do that. Plus, like Warrior mentioned, you need the RNG with Greedo's shot. You actually need more RNG to get a successful Greedo attack than you do the Han Solo. And then the Chex Mix team in general has characters more useful in the game overall than the Greedo one. So I haven't really focused on it. Now I am gearing up my Greedo a little bit just to kind of play around with that team in Phase 3, but my Chex Mix is still my main one.
Yeah. All right, next question. Again from Old Man Wilson. He is writing a lot of questions today. Question, what faction will get reworked next? My money is on the Separatists. You know, I was thinking about this, about reworks, and I was thinking about this the other day. Let's see what you guys think about this. You know, they're not reworking a lot of characters. What they're doing is they're introducing new characters to make those teams better. So they're not going back and reworking the old characters. They're just adding a new character that comes in and makes the squad better, i.e. like a boss, something like that line. Do you think we're going to get a rework like on, say, for Separatists, where they go back and rework some of the characters? Or do you think that they're going to introduce some new characters like they have been to make the squad better? What do you think, Warrior?
Both. And they've always done both. So they have a rotational thing. I mean, go back and look at Jedi. They rework Grandmaster Yoda first, and then Brat Bastila. So like Bastila's new, Grandmaster Yoda's a rework. They have a history of bringing in someone new that is going to create a new dynamic or a new element. Let's say it's someone that maybe makes the team that was viable in Phase 2 now viable in Phase 1, because you could swap out a single character, and now you've got a new team that maybe does more in a different phase kind of thing. So this new character brings value for like the raids, or maybe it helps.
Did we lose Warrior?
Did we lose Warrior?
Desire for the reworks. Now, there's not a lot of money in the reworks for them, and so that's why new characters will always be a thing. But and we want new characters as a group of people. We're always asking for new characters. But yeah, they have a duality with their focus. They've always had it. If you look in the past, they always rework, like Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine were reworked, but Sith Marauder was added. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's always this. Scion was added. You know, there's always this, like, let's rework some characters and let's bring in some new characters, and with fresh blood on both sides. And they tend to release the rework first, and then it doesn't seem like it's going to be a whole lot of good. You're like, well, the rework's not that good. And then they bring out the new character that really ticks with the reworked character, and all of a sudden you're like, OMG, wow, that rework character really was good. I had no idea. Because, see, they see the bigger picture. Again, I say this often, we don't always see the big picture because we're not the developers. We don't see everything they have in the future. So all those things in the future that are going to make this relative now is not known now. And so as game changers, we're a little bit stunted because we have our opinions, and we come out with our opinions and say, well, it's not that good and blah, blah, blah. And then, 2 weeks later, we're proven wrong because something else comes out that's new, and it's like, oh man, the interaction is just insanity. So that's why you got to kind of slow up your roll when you're having an opinion, and just try and look at it as what happened, and then let time tell what's going to happen with that character.
Yep. That's a great way of working at it. Real quick, everybody, if you haven't, go ahead and hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're watching this. Obviously, you love the content that we're putting out, so go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Let you know when we're doing our streams. And make sure you check out Warrior's channel and do the same thing. Go watch his videos, hit the like button, and subscribe as well. So
I did. I've done a ton of videos the last 2 weeks. I don't know if you noticed that or not.
Yes, I do.
But
I see everything on Facebook and everything, Warrior. Come on now.
I've just been super active the last couple of weeks. I hope that, I hope that because, I've got more time now. So my wife and kids have gone back to school. She works there at school. And so, I have my mornings back to myself. I can actually YouTube in the mornings now. So I'm super stoked.
Oh, snap.
I loved your Shard Chat video in particular, because it's funny because a lot of people say our Shard Chat is strict and stuff, and because they make fun of me in the chat and whatnot, because we have too many people in Eastern time zone, so we're not closed off to them, but it's not easy if you're in Eastern time zone on our Shard. And so there was that post on Reddit, and then you made the video about it, and it's okay, well, mine doesn't seem as bad now compared to what those people were doing with 12 rules. We have one. Just be friendly. That's it.
So, a couple of things on that video. I struck chord with the community on that. I had no idea. I was like, oh, it's an interesting topic on Reddit. I might as well make a video on it just to have something to discuss, because I want people to discuss this, and I want to hear people's opinions. Do they like it? Do they not like it? And to also bring awareness, because there's a huge majority of players that are not in the Shard Chat and didn't even know this existed. It's like a mafia underground. They had no idea. And so anyway, it was just to bring light. It's my most liked video in the last 6 months, but even more insane than that, I have more comments than likes. That's right, more comments than likes. I've never had a video that's happened where I've had more comments than likes. It just doesn't happen. I've looked at everyone's channels, and it doesn't happen to anyone. This is how impassioned the community is about Shard Chats, right, wrong, indifferent, yay, nay, whatever. So I lost about 100 subscribers that day when I put that out. So apparently I struck a chord negatively too. So
yeah.
Oops, but it was not. I wasn't saying yay or nay. I was just pointing out that Shard Chat was the rules were a little much. They were a little much. But I'm not for Shard Chats. I'm not against them. In fact, my leaderboard chat existed far before me. In fact, I was the reason why the Shard Chat was created against me, because when I started, I was like a whale, and everybody else kind of wasn't, and I had Sunfac, and nobody else could get him, and they couldn't beat me, and I just camped in the #1 spot, and nobody could beat me, and nobody could knock me out, and so they all started pitting each other against each other, or getting together against me, and they all were working as a team to try to dethrone me, and finally when they got to a point where they could beat me, they were working as a team to throw me out of the top 20 every day, and really hard. And I was on Reddit, and or on the forums, and I saw my name tagged, and informally, and I went to that post, and it was a Shard Chat talking about how they hated me, and I was like, what the hell? I haven't done anything wrong. I'm just playing this game. I had no idea the Shard Chats existed, and I had no idea I had an entire legion of people trying to make my life evil.
Meanwhile, back at the Legion of Doom.
So I messaged them on the forums and said, hey, I'd be friendly with you guys. I'm not out here to try and make your guys' life hell. You don't have to hate on me. And so they reluctantly let me into the Shard Chat, and it's I still tell them to this day, if you're in my payout, when I have to get my #1 spot, if you're in my payout, we're competing. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do the whole rotation thing. That's just me personally. But I'm also not going to hit a bunch of people who have payouts before me, because then they're going to hit me, and I'm just going to spend a bunch of crystals unnecessarily. So it makes sense to kind of have a gentleman's agreement with those people who have payouts before me. So that's where the Shard Chat comes into play for me. But I lived without it for a year, and I've lived with it for a year and a half. I don't necessarily like it one way or the other. I'm not for it or against it. I just wanted the community to become aware and talk, and maybe bring awareness to some of those Shard Chats out there that are a little bit complex, that maybe they need to simplify, because they're making it a headache for a lot of people.
Yeah, ours is really simple. We know when everybody's payout, there's a rotation for the top. It's not a big deal if you want to be a part of it. I'm not. I usually get, some days I'll take 2, some days I'll take 3, but that we're real cool with each other too, and nobody minds if you're climbing for your payout and you hit someone that has a later payout. They don't mind because they understand you're trying to climb. So I'm pretty lucky that our shark chat, there's not a lot of rules. Just don't snipe. You know, that's the biggest thing. As long as you don't snipe, you climb and you're just doing what you're doing, people don't mind. And there's been days I'm like, no, I'll take one. I don't need it to, you know, go for it. And I think that's the kind of shark chat you want, where it's like, yeah, that's cool. You know, as long as you're communicating, I think that's good because, you know, because I could tell you those people that come in and try to snipe, they get it hardcore, dude. Because we'll sit there like, wait a minute, did he just? Oh hell no, hit him. You know, it's like, when's this payout? We don't know, and we'll try to reach out to that person. But if they're just ignoring us and stuff, it's like, all right, we try to be civil. But if you want to be a douche, then fine. But yeah, we don't sit there and take a monopoly. We're always looking to add people to it, just so we know when their payout is, and we work with one another. That's where it should be. The rules thing just completely threw me off when I watched that. That was a great video, by the way, where I had no idea it had gotten to that level. Because if I was in that shark chat, I'd be like, kiss my ass. You're going to give me 12 rules that I have to live by. Let the war begin. And I would enjoy it.
The first part about those rules was, and I made it obvious in the video with a little bit of humor and stuff, because I wasn't trying to pick on them per se, but just bring awareness to the kind of craziness that was being created. And someone said that was this is the deal. A couple of people came to me from that shark chat and said, these are the established rules and have been. And they've gotten to this point because we keep adding crap because of all the issues we've had in the past. Then other people from that leaderboard chat got all defensive and said, no, these were proposed rules. They never have been enacted. I don't know what the hell's right or wrong. All I know is they were rules on Reddit that I saw and I thought it was crazy, but the rules contradicted themselves. It said I had to make notification to people within 5 minutes or I could bump them. 5 minutes. Nobody can get to their game in 5 minutes, most people. Right. It takes them minutes. So that's just craziness. 1. 2, they said you have to be in your spot within 15 minutes. But then it also says in the last 15 minutes, if you're not in your spot, everybody else gets to move up one. Well, what if you get to your spot within the 15 minutes, which it said, which is, let's say 10 minutes prior, that's within the 15 minutes. Well, if you didn't do it within 15 minutes, they already moved up. So you come in 10 minutes till to move up, because you're within that 15 minutes, and now they're moving up. There was conflicts in the rules, and my point is the convolution of rules gets so crazy that if I'm misinterpreting it, and I'm a pretty astute individual, then I'm not the only one.
Yeah, obviously it's just
complex.
About, for our church chat, you just talk and who's doing what, and it's not a big deal. There doesn't need to be all these rules and regulations about it. You kind of know who's got what payout. You kind of talk. We have a general chat. Everybody knows one another, and we're cool about it. It's just about being cool. It's like we kind of gave the idea. You know what? We don't mind sharing number one, but that's because we came to our decision organically. Where it's like, why fight? We can just rotate. Everybody's got different payouts too, so that helps as well. And that's just the way it should be. It should not be this structured. I could not believe that when you're right. There was a lot of contradiction. I'm just like, if it works for you because you're talking to everybody and that's what everybody agrees to, then okay. But I don't know. That just doesn't work for me. If I was in that shard chat, I would not agree to those rules. It's too restrictive. It's just a game. We're supposed to have fun, and that's kind of the way we look at it. Finn, your shard chat's a little different, right?
Well, we have a rotation, and
But you don't have like major rules and stuff like
No. We've been like the group that is basically the Eastern time zone. So we let each time zone kind of handle itself. There's no like overall shard rules. It's kind of silly because each payout has like a different way that they're working. So we kind of let the Asian groups kind of work out the way that they're rotating. Like the Central time zone. Like there's like 4 of them, I think, and essentially they're like 2 people are rotating between 1 and 4, 2 of them are rotating between 2 and 3. So they're just like, okay, we'll just keep on switching and we're good. Ours is a little bit bigger, and so like we decided a while ago, like I make like a spreadsheet and I keep it up to date and it tells you kind of what your spot is for the day. But if somebody's not like able to make it for their spot. If real life comes out, like people opt out of the rotation for a little bit. If you're not able to make it for a day, we trade spots. I mean, because we're friendly with each other. The problem is it's just so crowded. It's hard to let more people in. But Shard, the rules wise, no, we're just like friendly, and we just try to figure out the best way to get everybody as much crystals as they can without having to, in all honesty, be on our phones during dinner. Like that's the worst part, right? It's at an inconvenient time that arena payout is, and so we just want to let's try and make it so we can get our payouts and we don't have to be on while we're eating.
Yeah, just be civil, guys. And it's all it's all about. And if you're communicating with one another, that just makes it that much easier. So interesting, very interesting topic. All right, let's go to some more questions. Mateus Calvacanti, question for everyone. What if they put all the 12 marquee solo KOTOR in ship nodes right now, just to be cute? Good, bad, possible opinions? Wow. What a question. What do you think there, Warrior? They should put everything in the old ship nodes? They got to put something in there besides Scion.
They're definitely going to put something from KOTOR into those ship nodes because they've got to enhance. One, there's two purposes for that. One, the ship nodes gave us additional nodes to put additional characters, and they needed an overflow spot to put characters. That. The second is ships a lot of people didn't care about, didn't invest in, and they're struggling with clearing that board. Because they're struggling with clearing that board, that kind of lets CG know that it's going to force everybody to develop their rosters, their ship rosters in a greater fashion than they did before. So that's what they want. So by putting Bastila on a high-level node for ships, it forces you to do two things. One, it gives them a spot to put her, and two, it forces you to develop your ship. So it's kind of a win-win for them, and for you, it gives you a spot to farm her that's technically free to play. But so yeah, I can see them using that board. It's a valid board. It's kind of like the guild store, right? You know, with the rotation, it was hard at times to get a particular individual, such as Jyn Erso right now. She's in the guild store. You know, it's like when you're farming her, she never shows up. So she's kind of hard. So it's a valid way to kind of stunt the farming speed of a character, I guess. So yeah, I could see the ship's table being utilized for sure.
Yeah, I blame Finn. What are your thoughts, Dr. Finn, since I blamed you?
That's my fault.
That's science. I love when we just get scientific.
No, I think so. I think solo tunes in particular. I think I said this before. I think the young Lando L3 and because they're part of the the Lando Millennium Falcon. I have a feeling that all three of them may drop into the fleet hard nodes at the same time. In terms of KOTOR, I mean, Scion, depending on how you look at it, right? Like Scion doesn't have a ship, so I wasn't sure why he was put in fleet battles. Now it doesn't have to make sense because we have dark side and light side both on each of the different dark side and light side tables, so there's not necessarily a consistency to that. But I'm thinking the more ship oriented characters may end up there. So I don't know which KOTOR ones would land there, but I have a feeling young Lando, if nothing else, will end up on a fleet table along with the Millennium Falcon. Maybe in a shared node as well, one of the double nodes, but there's still a lot that they can add to the hard nodes before they probably look into a double node. So,
okay, next question from Federico. I can't even say this last name.
He's from Argentina, if I remember correctly. I think his Uruguay. I'm going to guess Uruguay
or Jaragui.
No, it'll be pronounced as an H. The J is pronounced as an H.
It's a Hiragui?
Yeah, I think so. That's probably close.
I have a question.
Sorry, Federico.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough last name, brother. I'm pretty good at names, but that one got me.
He's
there.
Probably like, that's just Smith down here.
It's like, you racist bastards. Hold on.
Did we lose Ranger?
No. My Discord went poopy. Hold on a second. Oh, there we're back. Okay. His question is, I have a question. Actually, I'm level 78 and I have the Phoenix team. Which is a good team to change to metagame?
Empire. That's the next pillar after Phoenix. And you've got Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader probably by now. And both of them are like the easiest gear farms in the game. They're like two of the top easiest to farm to like gear 10. I'm not talking the gear 11 and 12, but to gear 10, the easiest. They fly up to gear 10 as long as you're in a decent guild, getting decent guild rewards. You should be able to gear them fast. By now, you probably already have Thrawn as well, and so there you go. There's 3 massive pieces of an Empire meta team: Emperor Palpatine, Darth Vader, and Thrawn. And Thrawn's not easy to gear, but the other 2 are, and you should have all 3 of them in your wheelhouse by now, or getting close to that. So I would evolve to an Empire team with all of the rebels and things like that are out there, especially where you're at in the game, with everyone running Phoenix and stuff. It's and some of the people start out with Night Sisters instead, which is smart. Yeah. You'll be able to battle both those Night Sister teams and the Thrawn or the Phoenix teams with the Emperor teams.
All right. I mean, it makes sense, because you're going to go right into getting Palpatine and Thrawn. You can get your Vader. I mean, it seems like a natural transition to me. You going to say something, Dr. Finn?
Yeah, this is a separate, though, from the answer. Since he's level 78, something I like to try and do is I usually save about 10 spots on my ally list for people that are like lower levels and leveling up, such that they have like a higher level ally. So if Frederico's still listening, if you want to post your ally code in the chat, I do have an open spot that I was saving for kind of a newer player, so I can add you as an ally if you want. And I'm sure others in the chat will too, because one of the things you do need as you're leveling up is to make sure you have a good number of high-level allies so you can use their characters and kind of beat the content easier. So just throwing that out there in case he's still listening.
All right. Old man Wilson has another question. Is it worth taking Scav Rey from 11 to 12 for Phase 1 of the Sith Raid? She is such a grind. I think so. Warrior, Finn, what do you guys think?
Mm-hmm.
If you're using her in Phase 1, then yes.
Yeah, I mean, when you get her with, I think she gets a bayonet, doesn't she? At the top of my head, but she hits really hard. Oh my god, she hits so hard. Even at gear 11, she hits pretty decently, but when you get her to gear 12 and stuff, oh my god. Ugh. So, yeah, gear 12, do it. It's worth it. I mean, because especially for the Phase 1 team, because some people say Resistance Trooper, so, but you could run Resistance Trooper with Rey, Scav Rey, so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so just on that point, I mean, I think Resistance Trooper, and I don't know if Warrior agrees or disagrees, I like Resistance Trooper better than Scav Rey, because if you're picking one or the other to go in that team, because Resistance Trooper can dispel with his basics after you use BB-8 special. If Nihilus attacks, he gains all of these, and if your one on Rey is on cooldown to dispel those, then he kind of keeps these buffs for a little while. So it's good to have that second dispel. But if you're using only Resistance Trooper, then your fifth either needs to be Scavenger Rey or it needs to be one of the healer types, which is Barris, Hermit Yoda, or Visas. And a lot of people may not have the Zeta on Barris. They may not have Visas Mar because she's pretty rare. And then Hermit Yoda is a farm from the Guild Event Store. And I know some people focus on gear before getting the character. And so Scavenger Rey can be your fifth. It's a damage-heavy, fast P1 squad. And so if you're going with Scavenger Rey, I would make sure you have Resistance Trooper first, but she's worth the grind as the fifth. She seems to be kind of the best fifth if you can get her to gear 12 with the bayonet.
All right. Question for Warrior from Helenix from UWOL_Krylia and the GRDS. Question for Warrior. Would CG be able to change the Heroic Sith Raid reward system from rewarding the rank a player finishes first, second, third to a score-based system, 15 million points plus, 11 to 15, 6 to 10, etc.? What do you think?
Well, yeah, they can do anything they want. So if they wanted to take that idea, they could, and it's not a bad idea at all. In fact, that was one of the creative solutions I saw in my comments. In fact, if CG wants great ideas for how to fix stuff, reading my comments section is definitely a great place to start, because I heard some really interesting ideas in the comment section of my video, and that was one of them. Was instead of doing a rank-based system, if someone scores 10 million, that's relative to their teams they're competing against in their guild, but 10 million is no doubt an achievement in and of itself, which is what they're trying to say here. And so basically saying, if you can get 5 million in the Sith raid, these are the pieces you get. If you can get 10 million, these are the pieces you can get. If you can get 15 million, these are, you know what I mean? Like, so that's what they're inferring, I believe. And that's an excellent idea, because it then says you do have to put an effort, but it's not going to be in comparison to your guild. It's going to be in comparison to a flat base that everybody's being compared to. So we know one solid team, Night Sisters Phase 4 at the beginning, can do 5 million. So if you have that one team and you can play them right, and that's the only thing you do, and spend 10 minutes playing them in Phase 4, and you get 5 million, well, then you get, 10 of these 3 different salvages, or a randomization of these 6 different salvages. But if you can, get to that 10 million, you're going to get 30 pieces out of those different salvages. And then if you can get to 15 million, you're going to get 60 pieces of salvage from these, and have it be incrementally better. I think that's a great idea.
All right. Awesome. Super chat from Quaid. Question, Warrior, what's your take on Zalbar? I think his kit is interesting for raids, possibly, and also come to Shadowlands. First place rewards. Oh, for God's sake, you guys are not going to recruit Warrior on the damn Jedi Academy.
T-Money has tried repeatedly.
Yeah, seriously, if T-Money ain't going to get it in.
So, I like Zalbar and Mission. I like them a lot. Not only are they KOTOR characters, so they already have an easy pass into my favorites list, but even though, well, spoiler, I'm not going to say it. I was going to say something about the history of them. But anyway, I like them, but I'm not 100% sure where in the game they're gonna end up residing team-wise. You know how when a character comes out after 3 to 6 months, it becomes a staple somewhere. That's a staple of a territory war team, or that's the staple of a 2 territory battle team, or that's a staple of arena or whatever. Some characters get multiple spots. I'm not sure where they're going to fit in. I know for sure any team that revives health and protection, that regenerates health and protection, is a territory war team or territory battle team, because you need durability in both areas. And so they definitely are going to be viable in territory battles and wars. And because I'm pretty positive they both have the scoundrel tag, they are going to be really viable with all the new scoundrel stuff, because we've got 3 sets of scoundrels now. We've got the KOTOR scoundrels, we've got the new Han Solo movie scoundrels, and we have the Bosk old school scoundrels from original Star Wars, like Cad Bane and all of them. So there's these 3 different series of scoundrels, but they all have interactions with each other because of the scoundrel tag. So I think they have a home. I'm just not sure exactly quite what it looks like yet, but I have them both 4-star Gear 11, maxed out Gear 11 for 4 stars, and all their abilities maxed out but their Zetas. And I do plan on doing their Zetas, and I do plan on, when they become farmable, farming them up and putting them to 7-star Gear 12. And I don't plan that with everybody. So definitely they have a home somewhere in the game for sure. I like their kits. Time will tell. We got to have enough people that have them, that play with them, for us to truly understand their value.
Very nice. Next question from Brygon Ruby. What a name. Question. Chances of 3 Revens. How dare you? Jedi, Sith, and Reborn. How dare you? There is only one Revan. Our Lord and Savior. 3 Revens. Would they do that to me, Warrior Finn? Would they give me 3 Revens?
Yeah. Carrie.
Oh God, no.
I could see them doing 2 different Revens.
Oh God, no.
A light side one and a dark side one. What I would like to see, and I know this is insane, but I would love for them to have a legendary event where you had to choose your path in the game, that you never could choose again, that you can only choose one side or the other, and you have to use 5 characters to go through the light side missions, or 5 dark side characters to go through the dark side missions. But once you lock in which side you're going on, that's the side you're going on. And at the end of that event, you have a Revan, but it's either light side or dark side with 2 totally differing kits. And it would create a character that it's your fault if you pick the wrong one, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's crazy, but I would love to see that, because it would create diversity forever in a unique way, because people that chose light would have a light side Revan and could have certain advantages because of that, or people that chose the dark side Revan would have, you know, certain advantages there. And I think it would be really interesting to see the chaos within a human when they're trying to make that determination.
You're all
so not just that, Warrior. I think you mentioned this before as something that bothers you, because it bothers me too. If they do that, right, and you pick, like, let's say you go with the dark side, right? Would you have a locked ghost character of a light side Revan stuck in your character sheet that you would never be able to unlock then? Because that would drive me crazy. I love unlocking all the characters, but that would drive me nuts.
Yeah, I guess it's because of the character. They go into the game. They would have to put both versions into the game. They would have to create a way to hide the version that you didn't unlock, or otherwise it would forever be in the bottom, and that would kill me. That alone would kill this idea for me.
You all are a bunch of goddamn heathen. There's only one Revan. It's Jedi and Sith, and that's the end of it. You bastards, trying to ruin my day. Jeez, light side Revan I can't unlock, and what's wrong with you? Damn it! Next you're gonna say you can only have one lightsaber. I blame you, Finn, for this.
All right, Grievous has 4 lightsabers and can't use any of them in the game, right?
That's not the same thing. Yeah, it's different. All right, JLY9 question. In Arena, what are the best offensive and defensive combinations? Let me try this again. In Arena, what are the best offense and defensive compositions using Trey and the Triumphant? That's the question's kind of throwing me off a little bit. What do you think, Warrior? I mean, it's kind of just...
Paper, rock, scissors, paper, rock, scissors. I mean, for me, I can only speak from experience. For me, if a bunch of Basilas, we have a lot of them now. If I am in Arena and I'll look at the top 20 and I see 5, 6, 7 Basilas, then I put Trey lead, because I know those people are climbing and I want to try to discourage them from climbing, because I'm just evil like that. So I'll put a Bastila lead in, because they have a harder time beating it. Sometimes they can't beat it. And so what I do is I use, because I have Gear 12 plus pieces on my Nest and my Thrawn, I'll use Nest and Thrawn in the back for control, and then I use Traya with the Triumvirate in the front, 3 slots. And so because of that, I've got Isolate, Fracture, Daze, you know what I mean? It's a nightmare control team. And it works really, really well. And actually, that team works really well against everything that I'm fighting. But if I'm noticing that everybody has evolved into a trail lead over the last couple of days, and 19 of the top 20 are all trail leads, then I move to my Emperor Palpatine lead team, and I smoke them all, and I leave Emperor Palpatine as the lead. There are days when I change my team 3 times over during my climb. I mean, it's really hard, because Emperor Palpatine lead beats trail leads pretty easily, pretty handedly. Traya beats the Jedi meta pretty handedly. Emperor Palpatine loses to the Jedi meta pretty handedly. I lose on offense, which is not good. So it's really what you're seeing, what you're defending against, but any kind of control piece is going to help. Treya's a control piece. She's got Isolate. Thrawn's a control piece. He's got Fracture. Nest is a control piece because she has turn meter reduction, Daze. She can hit through Foresight with her Daze. She can have stacking offense. She's powerful. She's got that durability you're looking for in Arena, because anything that is really tanky is a really good character right now, because it forces them to take forever to try and kill that individual. Nest is a pain in the butt, but Sith Trooper's a great character too. I know a lot of people running Sith Trooper.
I do, yeah. The team I run is the Triumvirate with Sith Trooper and Thrawn, and I do fine. I may drop to 13 or 20, but 2 or 3 battles, I'm back in the top 5. I'm not, or top 10. I'm not worried about it, So, but there's different combinations of Traya teams, but yeah, there's no be-all offense or defensive team. So, all right, next question for Peter Baelish. Peter Baelish, wait, who let Littlefinger in here? Question: I've been playing since May and have Thrawn, Palpatine, and Vader for my Empire team. Do you think I should go after CLS? I have all the needed Rebel 7-star, but low ability level. I'm just gonna say it. Yes, you want CLS?
No, you
don't
want
need
a
them.
legendary
Yeah, right.
tune.
I'm sorry, Warrior.
Just skip Jedi, skip CLS, skip BB-8. Don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
you don't need. Who needs JTR really? Warrior.
You don't need the top 10 best characters in the game. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't go for it.
Not to be rude, that's just kind of a silly question. If you got everything it takes to get him, you get him. You get him yesterday because you need him. You need him because he's a critical component of many teams, including teams that solo the hat. If you're not soloing the hat, getting 48 million in the heroic AAT, then you need him.
Yeah, and he's a great counter on against Treya. People don't realize this. The Biggs Wedge CLS OG Han combination. Yeah. It works, you know. You got to gear them up and stuff. I'm just saying, you know.
Han and CLS is also counter for Emperor Palpatine teams. Once you add a Rex or something like that, you can pretty much stop Vader.
So this is a great topic. So diversity of your listen, you got to have a diverse roster, right? You may love Empire, but you still need those components, right, of the light side to do stuff because. Let's say you go all in because you love Empire, right? That's great. You know, that's a fan. But to really get the enjoyment out of the game, you got to think that eventually you're going to get to raids, light side, territory battles, right? Territory wars, and other things, right? There's events that come up that you need these characters. Your main goal, and we always say this, should be when you first start playing is, we always say get Phoenix, then unlock Palpatine and Thrawn, then do what you need to do to get CLS, R2, BB-8, and JTR. Because that really diversifies your roster. Collecting all the other characters, you can get those from Shard Shops and Cantina Store, Cantina Nodes, the Arena Store, Guild Event Store. So there's other places you can add those supporting components to it, right? But those characters really make a difference. It's just the nature of the beast. So, if you can get CLS, it says you got them 7 stars. You only need, I think if I'm not mistaken, you only need those guys like Gear 8 to beat that, if I'm not mistaken. Because it's a hero's journey. So go for it, man. You really will. And you won't be disappointed. CLS is a really, really good tune. There's a reason why he has been one of the top 10 characters, because he is that good. All right. Good old Marines. Question. What is a good build? What is a good mod build for Kira for use with mix and match scoundrels as a supporting cast? Finn, you've been remodding. I'd like to get Dr. Finn, the mod knucklehead, in this one. What do you think, Dr. Finn, for Kira? And then I'm going to have Warrior critique you. If you're wrong, you're going to get slapped.
So, I've been looking more at that particular team, especially with Kira. She does have a lot of like debuffs that she can place. So I do like the option of a potency cross on her. She does have the special where she calls an ally to assist, and I think that's going to be her main strength. I think using that ability is going to be kind of her key. So for her, the way I plan on modding her is with speed, and I mean that's not I'm sure that's not anything that's special or anything like that. She's probably going to go with speed, 4 speed sets as fast as possible, and a potency cross. And I'm going to also be looking a little bit for critical chance secondaries on her. Her critical chance is actually not too bad. She's pretty easy to get above 40% without needing a critical chance like triangle or a critical chance set or anything like that. So critical chance secondaries along with speed secondaries, a speed set, potency cross, and a critical damage triangle, because she does increase her critical damage even more with her unique when she's attacking a debuff target, and she starts applying a lot of those when you team her with Enfys. Hopefully there's going to be days and all other kinds of debuffs as well. So I would say speed set, speed secondaries, a little bit of critical chance, potency cross, and critical damage triangle.
There you go.
Warrior.
Did you get it right, Warrior, or am I punching Finn?
No, speed set and potency set are solid. Those are great choices, and I think the game would probably suggest those as what they would suggest for her, because she's got multiple debuffs. So potency makes sense. Potency plus, speed cross. He's right about critical damage. She boosts her own critical chance, and she gets additional from other from others in the team. So her critical chance, she's definitely going to be critting, which she needs to for her basic and for some of her other abilities. But the critical damage is a key component. So critical damage triangle, like he said, I mean, that's how I modded her. The only possibility would be maybe taking the speed set off if you want, because you could replace it with another critical damage. She's a support, she's a lead, but she is going to do damage. You could replace that and get 216% critical damage, or moving forward with mods 2.0, you could actually do an offense set with potency. The offense on her, where her offense is at, should put her over the threshold to actually be better, more beneficial than the critical damage would be, moving into mods 2.0. And she gets a speed bonus. Her leadership gives her speed bonuses. In fact, let me look at her leadership. She gives support characters 20 plus speed stacking. So, and it can get max 3 stacks. So she can give herself plus 60% speed. So, she doesn't have to be the fastest tune in the game. And with the 60 speed stacking she can provide herself, I would probably, when mods 2.0 goes out, do offense and potency or crit damage with a crit damage triangle. So yeah, good suggestions there, Finity.
All right, damn it.
Yeah, I won't get punched.
SWGOH question: Do you think now that Gear 12 is now the gold standard for endgame, do you think we should be able to donate the old purple gold gear, MK8 electro binoculars, MK5 med pack, etc.? Good question. What do you think, Warrior?
Yeah, there's a lot of gear that is, I would say now, kind of older gear that's less important. I think they should reassess what you can ask for donations and for how much. For example, the old raid gear that was the buckle between gear 8 and 9. We're talking like the furnaces and stuff. Those are 2 pieces. You get 2 on a donation. Yet you could ask for gear 12 pieces and you can get 5. It just doesn't make sense to me that they're preventing us from getting certain pieces still, because those pieces are easy to get now in comparison to when back in the day. So I think they should reassess what you can ask for and what you can't. And basically, if it's, in my opinion, anything other than Sith heroic, raid gear pieces, I think that it should be something you can request in game and get. That's something they should just relook at, and something they probably wouldn't mind relooking at. It's just one more thing to go on their whiteboard over the next 2 years to look at.
There you go. All right, next question from good old Maurice. Question: Does Bosk have a spot on an assorted scoundrel team outside of a bounty hunter specific comp? What do you guys think?
I used him in a video. Well, I'm building the video. I haven't actually put it out yet, but I used Bosk with Embo, or Bosk with Dengar and the Triumvirate, and Bosk is the lead, and Embo and that's a really interesting and fun composition for Arena now. If you want to play with Bosk in Arena, that's really the only way to do it, is just do Bosk +1 Scoundrel, whichever is your strongest, Embo, Boba Fett, or Dengar, but preferably Dengar or Embo. The new Embo is obviously super hard to get, but if you have him, he's super fun in Arena. He can one-shot Traya, by the way. So, yeah. Anyway, it's an option if you're a whale.
All right. Vito Anto has a question. I'm finishing gearing up my bounty hunters. I currently have them modded for a Bubba lead with potency crosses. What is the focus under a Bosk lead? Okay, another mod question. Finn, you will respond, and if you get it wrong, Warrior will thrash you. And if you want, I will.
Why am I always getting beat up in these things?
Because you're Finn.
So, I'm assuming... So I'm trying to make sure I understand the question. If he's going with a Boba lead and he was doing potency crosses, I'm assuming he was doing a thermal detonator-based bounty hunter team. And I may be wrong, so you can correct me there, but that's kind of what I'm getting from the question. If you're going with a Bosk lead is just based a lot more on just pure damage. So you can go with potency on the characters that have thermal detonators. I mean, the detonators are still going to do a lot of damage, but you can focus more on the damage stats because you're getting so many assists with that team, especially with the Bosk leader ability, and I forget what it's called, the one with the net where he calls all the the other bounty hunters to assist. So I mean, I'm fine with potency crosses. You're still focusing on thermal detonators landing. In terms of the rest of the mods, you may want to focus a little bit more on damage because you're getting more output. So I think that's what I would do, and that's just, again, assuming based on his question with the Boba Lee that he's modded a bit more on potency in order to land more thermal detonators. The effectiveness, I mean, thermal detonators are so good with Boss Lee, they're just not as much of a focus. So I would go with more damage based.
All right. Next question. Well, where did he get it right?
Yeah, I mean, it's relative to what you're placing, right? Like if it's raids and you're trying to do as much damage as possible, then yes, he's spot on. If you're in arena trying to do as much damage as possible, yes, you're spot on. If you're in territory war and you're trying to survive, tenacity, everything. Because they're not going to have their A teams and they're going to have their B teams, and their B teams are not going to be able to impose their will the same, because Bosk, as long as you put him in the leader slot, and that's kind of what I heard was you actually said Boba Fett, which in territory wars you wouldn't want to do that. So it just depends on which category. But in Boba Fett lead, which is what I heard him say, it would be right. That would be correct.
Crap. All right. All right, next question. Let's see here. Ski Trooper Color Fragilistic XP Aldocious. Question for Warrior. As Finn and Ranger had opposite answers. Trey lead, Thrawn, Nihilus, Scion, and Sith Trooper. Thrawn goes first. Turn meter swap with Scion or Nihilus.
He always turn meter swaps with Traya.
Oh. Interesting.
Always. I've done 100 battles this month alone where I watched Thrawn turn meter swap with Traya every single time. And that's actually a point of contention. If your Traya is really, really fast, or if your Thrawn is really, really fast, regardless which way, if your Thrawn's the fastest character on the board, he's going to always turn meter swap with Traya. Traya's going to isolate the tank, not their Darth Nihilus. And so it's actually to your detriment on defense to have a really fast Thrawn or a really, really fast Traya. Everyone on my leaderboard that has a 7-star Traya and has put their Gear 12 plus pieces, ever since then, it has been far easier to beat those teams. The harder teams to beat are the ones that actually have worse mods, that are going slower, because they always inevitably isolate my Darth Nihilus, and things go downhill once that happens. So, yeah, he always turn meter swaps with Darth Traya every time. 100% of the battles I've seen.
Okay. Let's see here. Next question from Andrew Wallach. Question: what's the best team any of the new scoundrels, including Zalbar and Mission, and can they take out a Traya team? Thinking for territory war mostly, but feel free to include some older teams as well. What do you think they're Warrior?
Beating a Traya team, I don't see it happening. I've tested multiple different ones. I see them more as a defensive team for territory wars, not an offensive team for territory wars. And as far as the right composition, it's hard to tell. It depends on which ones you're using. If you're using Bosk lead on territory wars, then there's definitive scoundrels that work better with him, such as Zam and Dengar, characters like that from the old days. If you're trying out like Kira lead with L3 and you want to try Mission and Zalbar with them and stuff, and Vandor or whatever, that's a good combo on defense. But offensively, to like go into these characters and then try to use them offensively, I don't see it happening. You're going to time out every time. You don't have enough. I mean, your team's durable. You probably won't die in the 5 minutes, but you don't have enough offense to go out. And if you are going to try to get enough offense to go out, you probably are going to have old school Han Solo and ramp up his damage. And then you're going to need to know the prepared mechanic really, 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 really well. Which means you got to know Han Solo, for example, using his basic every time versus his specials. People want to ramp his speed up, So they do his special first. With that, you really want to ramp his abilities up, which is through prepared. And so you actually ignore those other abilities using his basic. There's just small things like that you should know. And then even then, with him hitting for 60,000, it's not by the end game going to be enough, I don't think, in 5 minutes to take out a Darth Nihilus that's at 1 million health. I just don't see it.
All right. Blaine Torpa question. How do you feel about large alliances flattening GP for Sith rewards? Finn, you're in a big alliance. What do you think?
I'm in an alliance of one.
Oh, right.
I mean, we're part of the alliance, but we're not like we're not in like a cluster. So it's just, I mean, we're part of a community. But I mean, I understand it. This goes back to kind of the discussion we were having now, like an hour ago. Which is that, I mean, a lot of the guilds are moving around some of their players so that, like, whatever you kind of consider like their main guild, some of them are moving on to one of their lower guilds in order to help them finish Heroic Sith, and then also giving them top rewards. And so you kind of distribute it so some of the lesser guilds can actually complete Heroic Sith if they were struggling. The players in the higher end guild, which was able to complete it and now has more of its members getting the top rewards. I mean, I understand the reason why you would do that. And at least in like an alliance, when you have like different guilds of different levels and maybe some of them aren't completing Heroic Sith, you can kind of see it a little bit more as a win-win versus if you're doing it with like two guilds that are both doing Heroic Sith and now you're displacing the top ones of the other guild. I mean, again, the best thing about this game is the community and the fact that there are so many guilds, so many different mindsets, and you can find a guild that suits the way you think. And if you're part of an alliance that does this, that's great. I mean, you want to be in an atmosphere where you're of the same mindset of the people in your guild and your alliance, and you can actually kind of work together. You don't want to be in that position where you're like always resenting a decision and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I understand it. So it's not something we do. So, I mean, I don't really have a feeling one way or the other. I have no issue if people in the guild want to do it because it makes sense right now with the way the guild game is set up.
All right. Ski Trooper California. No, yeah, we just asked that. Let's see.
With this question, so let me just go back to Ski Trooper really quick. So, Warrior, you were saying you were doing the turn meter swap with Trey, right? So he wanted just to clarify a little bit. So if you do that, then you're going to end up putting an isolate on the opposing Sith Trooper. Is that what you would do as an action? Not necessarily what the AI would do, but if you had that team and you were facing it, would you do a swap with Treya and force an isolate on Sith Trooper?
People who have it on offense, that's actually a lot of times what they're doing is they're swapping with either their Darth Nihilus, so they can get their cooldown increases and get one step ahead, or they're swapping with their Treya to isolate their if they don't have Sith Trooper. So it depends on if they have Sith Trooper or not. But I wouldn't isolate Sith Trooper. That's, in my opinion, a bad decision. Target-wise, he's really not that hard to deal with. I just kind of ignore him, but I also run Nest, and Nest dispels on basic. So if he has an AOE, and when he shoots it, she dispels him, and so plus when you're I don't know, I would personally swap with Darth Nihilus and have Darth Nihilus increase cooldowns, and then I would have mine isolate. My Treya isolate and target my own Darth Nihilus, and then on turn 2, my Darth Nihilus gets to annihilate their Treya, and they never get to use their Treya, which makes the battle go really fast, like 60 seconds.
Yeah,
so yeah, a lot annihilate their other Darth Nihilus, but if you isolate their Darth Nihilus, he won't gain any health, so he's easy to kill.
Yeah.
So as long as you isolate him, you can actually target her with the annihilate, then you won't have to worry about her isolate, because the isolate is a long game, right? It takes like 3-4 minutes to win because it's constant cooldown increases on both sides, and it's just annoying. So you got to get rid of their Treya, and then once their Treya is gone, it's game over super fast.
All right. Question of Warrior from Smoke 311. Question of Warrior. What is the average damage to finish top 10 in Heroic Sith Raid in TI?
It's plummeting now, but because people are not caring anymore, sadly. But for a while there, you'd have to get top 20. You'd have to be far in excess of 10 million damage to get into the top 20, because everybody was placing 10 million pretty easily. So, but I can see people caring less and less, and like you said, posting zeros because they're frustrated and they're just like, what's the point? So I've noticed that the last few I've been able to actually jump in and participate in, I've scored a little higher because people have given up, which has helped me, but that's not the way that's again, that shouldn't be working as intended like that, for sure.
Next question from Neo Venom 3. Question for RSG. What do you think of Spartan Easy Zeta will? LOL. Oh my god.
Do you know about the Zeta Wheel Warrior?
Oh my god. Don't worry about this, because this is awful.
So
it's like Arnold's wheel of like pain, where you have to spin it and it's got some sort of a punishment of what you have to Zeta.
Essentially, except it's the people in his chat that vote. And so he ended up having to, like he said, what were his last two? One of them was Rose, and Clone Wars Chewie. Those were his last two Zetas. Like, oh man, like that can, and he's been playing. What did he say? He was like he was just around 2 million, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it hurts. It hurt me. I have to say, it hurt.
It caused me physical damage. I'm not gonna lie. I took much damage from this scene, and then explain. I'm like, brother, you're a good man. You're a good man, Charlie Brown. I couldn't do it.
Definitely more power to him.
Why would you allow your fans to pick your Zetas like that? I think Warrior just died.
No, I'm here. I did once with Arnold on his video. I did a thing where if I would have lost, but luckily I won all 3 competitions, or I didn't come in last in those competitions, so I never had to, have my Zeta chose. But that's terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Oh my god. All right, next question from Tenebrous. Question: I have a MK12 HoloLens. My arena team is First Order, and I'm considering Fox, but it also seems a good piece for JTR. Thoughts? What do you think, Dr. Finn?
First Order Executioner, I don't think really needs the HoloLens. I mean, you're adding speed to a character that's not really needing a lot of speed, right? I mean, if you can get him faster, that's fine. But I mean, he's just kind of a damage dealer, and he kind of just keeps on critting. You don't need too much speed on him. Jedi Training Ray, I think, is a good one. I'll go to Warrior because the HoloLens is one of the items that you can buy. It's the one that's kind of on its own in a separate little bundle, and Warrior did like a whole thing on which ones you would recommend. So I'll let Warrior kind of take this because he just did a whole video on it.
So funny you say that. I do recommend a certain priority for the HoloLens, but it's in relevance to the other 3 pieces you can buy. I'm assuming that you bought all 4 pieces, and there's a priority list. And the reason why my list is fashioned in the way that it is I did a couple of things. One, I picked the top 15 characters in the game that actually benefit from speed, because these pieces give speed. Bottom line, it's 6 speed, and if you're putting it on a slow tune, while the other stats may benefit that tune, you've just robbed one of your fastest tunes of 6x additional speed. That is a bad idea for now when you're placing a couple pieces. Once you have, like, Ranger says everybody would Gear 12 Plus, it won't matter, right? But for now, it does matter. Speed is actually ultimately what these pieces are. That's what it represents. The other stats are awesome, but it's ultimately falls down to speed. So the top 15 characters that need speed for their teams to click, they're the key players for the teams. Second, I wanted the secondary stats on that piece to actually make relevant sense for the individual, with the exception of if that person, that tune had a priority for Gear 12 Plus. So what I'm saying is Grandmaster Yoda is my #1 pick for the HoloLens. He doesn't benefit from the physical damage because he does special damage now, but he still made #1 in that slot because Thrawn beat him out for the datapad. Now the datapad makes sense for Grandmaster Yoda, and the HoloLens does not, but Thrawn makes more sense to me for the data pad, and only one person can take number 1, right? So I suggested Thrawn for the data pad. Because of that, Grandmaster Yoda really should have got a data pad too, and the only way to give him a runner-up would be to give him the HoloLens. So that's why he made the number 1 spot on my HoloLens slots. But I got a lot of people critiquing me and saying, well, that piece doesn't make any sense on him. Well, tell CG. They're the ones that built a physical damage piece for a special damage character. Like, that's not me. I didn't build the piece. I'm just telling you who deserves the speed and health boost and things like that. But yeah, not all the stats make sense for him. But number 2 on my list was Stark. Stark is like vital to be fast, and this is a way to make him even faster. And I have seen these teams, these Imperial Trooper teams, walk through almost anything with range trooper and a super fast Stark. So because of that, he really deserves the HoloLens, and it plays into his strengths perfectly. Number 3 was Scion. Really think he benefits greatly from the HoloLens. Bosk, and then JTR. Those are the top 5 characters that I chose for the HoloLens, but those top 5 characters were picked out of relevance to the other 3 pieces that you could buy. So my list would change if I was only assessing the HoloLens versus assessing all 4 pieces at once, if that makes sense.
That makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people were like, why'd you pick Poplu for thermal detonator? Well, he was number 4 on the list. That's pretty damn low on the priority scale, if you ask me. But Poplu needs to be fast, and the thermal detonator was built for a tank. So he's a tank, and he needs to be fast. So if you happen to have Ewoks out there, because you're one of those guys, and you love your Ewoks, you should be considering a thermal detonator for Poplu. By the way, these were suggestions so people could see and kind of get their juices, their creative juices flowing as to who would benefit from these. Not a end-all be-all list like, you have to do what Warrior does, or he's going to come with a warrant to your house and kick your door down because you didn't pick Thrawn for the data pad.
That's
you
right.
went
Remember
to
that, Finn.
So it's just a suggestion, but the HoloLens, my list for the HoloLens would suck if it was the only piece I was assessing. But it's a great list if you're assessing it with the other 3 pieces that you could purchase.
That's right. Let me pay attention to this stuff, Finn. All right, Harry Tasker has a question. Question: of the Sith Triumvirate, which one should you prioritize for maxing with Gear 12 pieces? Well, I can just say, unless you're getting 7-star Traya right off the bat, it ain't going to be Traya. So it leaves Scion and Nihilus. I tend to lead towards Scion. Any thoughts from Moyer or Finn on my decision to go with Scion?
I would say Scion.
I would do 1, 1, 1, 1. I would do 1 on Scion, 1 on Darth Nihilus, 1 on Scion, 1 on Darth Nihilus, and that's how I plan to do it in real life.
Next question from BSP. Question: how high do Geos need to be for the last day of Darkside territory battles? I can never beat the final wave since Fleet 2.0. Well, there are other ships that you can use. I'm just throwing that out there. Warrior, highest level you think they need to be?
Sorry, say the question again. I apologize. The highest level of what?
GOs need to be for Darkside territory battles for the fleet battle.
Not sure, because this is the first Darkside territory battle I've got to use my Geos in, and actually cut through. And my Geos are now maxed, so I didn't use them at all prior to them being maxed, and I just recently maxed them about 3 weeks ago, and this is the first Dark territory battle since. So I don't know. Mine are maxed, and I'm chewing through everything lightning fast. I would say probably the individuals need to be Gear 10 plus, 10 or higher, for the abilities of the ships to be leveled up, because they get stunted. Their individual ability is stunted, and those are some pretty good abilities. But their uniques, if their uniques are maxed, the rest of it doesn't have to be maxed. Gear 10 for the characters and uniques maxed, and I think you probably will do just fine in Darkside territory battles all the way through.
There you go.
Tarkin capital ship, right? Or do you have to do Chimera? I can't remember now, that one.
There's on round 6. There's 2. There's one with the Chimera, I believe, and one with your Executrix. And the Chimera one's actually a single battle, and it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
So, but you got to make sure you take in enough, but not too much. It's kind of a balancing act.
I agree. All right. Next question from Nathaniel Miller for Warrior. Question for Warrior. Will you please explain to Ranger why he's wrong about mods 2.0 slicing being terrible?
You think it's terrible?
I think it's ridiculous.
What part?
Well, we're asked to take these mods that we just had that are now 15.5 A mods, right? Then they're going to go back to a different color. Now I have to farm salvage to bring them up, so I can then take the mods that are already at that gold level, so I can take them to 6E. That's the one part I absolutely do not understand about this, and I disagree with it. Because it's like, okay, I already took the mods to gold. Now you're making me go because you're going to turn to blue, regardless of whether I get speed or anything on them or not.
Heard this. You took your mods to a level 15 max abilities. They're not going to change. They're still level 15 max abilities.
Right, but they still have to slice them because they're going to go back to being a blue or a purple or even a gray when I first started. And I can't take them to 6E until I get the slicing materials and then slice them.
True, but it's going to give you the opportunity to make all of your mediocre mods better that you think are good because they're gold, but they're really trash because you don't realize how many trash mods you leveled up a year ago. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, it depends on what the stats are, because I've had gold mods where, I leveled them up and got nothing for them really, especially with speed. And then I've had like trash mods that gave me 20 speed on it. It's like, I got a blue that went to 23. It's like, okay, great. But now I have to go back to the blue and then but I'm stunted because I have to now get all this salvage stuff to then take it back.
Well, you don't have to, but everybody else will be doing it, so I suggest you do it. I don't know. I think it's a win-win for everybody. The only piece of it I'm nervous about is the salvage you need to go from to the 6E the 6E. There's 4 pieces. There's 3 of them that are easily dropping. When I was in beta, there was a 4th piece that never dropped in beta. That's what I'm worried about, is that it's going to be a feature we really can't use, and that's my fear, because I want to be able to use it. As far as slicing it up from finding out I have a blue mod that has good speed but was a blue mod, and I'm able to add more health or add more crit chance because I can slice it. I think that's great. I'll be able to actually make some cool little sets and label them and be able to pull them off and put them on, and I'll be able to shore up some of the weaknesses of some of my lesser mods, and I'll actually know which mods are lesser or not. Right now I'm confused. I look at all my mods, they're all level 15 in gold and they all look good to me, but when I was in beta, I started to really see things in a different way. I started to notice that things I thought were good I was only seeing good because I only saw the 12 speed. I didn't actually see that the rest of the mods were trash. And now being able to go back to that 12 speed mod and shore up the rest of it because the rest of it was trash is going to be beneficial. Only beneficial. My fear is the farming piece of it, but not the actual benefits that come from the farming, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. I just see it a different way.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, your opinion is legit. I'm not going to discount your feelings.
It's all right, just go ahead and slap me. I mean, I can take it. I'm a man. It burns. It burns us, precious. All right, Andrew Sweeney, question. With Star Wars Resistance animated series dropping in the last 2 months, do you think we'll see new characters from the show? I don't think we're going to see any characters from them immediately. It took, 2 seasons, full seasons of Rebels before we even got a character from that show? I would be shocked if they had a character come immediately from the show, because you don't know how fans are going to react to it, right? Am I wrong on this? Do you think that we're going to get new characters from the show? Warrior Dr. Finn?
Oh man, I don't know. You're right. They have to know if it's going to be a success or not. If it's not a success, they're not going to bring characters into this game. And they plan things out 1 to 2 years out in this game. So they would have had to already have these guys planned in. And that's a really big gamble to say, we're going to plan these new characters and these new ships from this show. And it's the first season, like you said. So I could see the first season doing really well, and then saying, okay, we're going to put some characters, from season 1 in. At the end of season 1, maybe at like May, and maybe put in like a couple tunes and a ship or something from the show's first season. But it would be at the end of the season, not the beginning. And that would be them jamming in something into their already large game plan. That would be stressful for them, and not sure. So I don't know if it happened. It would probably happen from a year from now.
Yeah, if, at a minimum, it'd be a year. I could not see them bringing the character that quickly into the game. Remember, Tauntaun has a question. What is the best Sith raid team that uses a 7-star Traya? What team and what phase? I think we've been talking about phase 2 with the Sith Triumphant and 7-star Traya, right?
I mean, so okay. After the whole what was it called? The Critolite team, right? Treya's Isolate is nice.
Yeah, that's why I didn't say that. Because
no, I know, but what I was saying is, like, after that team, Treya just seems like a nice addition to a team, but I haven't seen a particular phase where she really stands out, to be honest. I mean, the Isolate is nice when you can throw it onto a boss and then you get heal recovery in return. It could help in phase 2 in order to kind of keep your Wampa going a little bit more or something like that if you throw her in there, but I don't know if you have anything, Warrior, but I really haven't seen or can think of a super good use for Treya as 7-star in the Sith raid.
I use my Sith in phase 2, so I would just end up using her in phase 2 with my Sith team. I would just make a slight modification to my Sith team that I'm already using in phase 2. Where do you guys use your Sith teams?
Phase 2.
Yeah, phase 2 is where we're looking at.
Most sense to just bolster that team, probably get another 500,000 to $1 million more, which would be great, maybe more.
So the Sith team that I'm using in phase 2 is EP Vader, Nihilus Scion, and Hermit Yoda. And I don't know if Treya fits better than Hermit Yoda, because I can get the extra call with Nihilus when I do Master's Training, and he attacks one of the adds and removes the buffs and then reduces his cooldown. I don't know if I can get that benefit from Treya, although she does reduce his cooldowns if I keep targeting him.
Yeah, I would try to replace Emperor Palpatine just to see.
Oh, so Treya lead is what you run in phase 2.
Yeah,
okay.
Without Palpatine. That's what I would try. But what do I know? I'm not a raid specialist. I do raids like 30% of the time because I don't have time to do the raids every single time.
That's right. That's science. Let's see here. Next question. Ray Sidepiece question. What does the council think of the best defensive fleet vid that Mobile Gamer did? Is it the best squad? I have not seen this video. What is it, anybody here seen that?
It's a video. It's okay. I love Mobile Gamer. He's a great guy. We talk. In fact, we're going to probably do. I think we're doing on Sunday. But it's something that got in a discussion on one of his Discord chats, and so he brought it to light, and he gave credit to a guy in that Discord chat. But it's a team that I've been literally running since beginning. So it's since I started running my Geos, and I wasn't the first one to run it either. There was people running it in my leaderboard well before me, like months before me. And actually, other like 3 other YouTubers have made videos on it 2 months ago. So it's a well-known team that's been around for a very long time. But the one he's talking about are the Geos with Darth Vader is the first in, and it's got Executrix as the lead, and that's the team I use. It's the team I've been using since I switched over from my kind of custom Rebel team that I was running at the beginning of Ships 2.0. And the team he shows is good, and it's a great defensive team. It's why everybody in my leaderboard in the top 30 is switched to Geos. I mean, it's literally just filled with nothing but Geos. However, the AI does not play them correctly on defense, and the only reason why it looked really good in his video was because he was going with crap teams against it. He didn't show like a Geo versus Geo battle, which is the logical progression. If that's truly the best team, everyone's going to switch to it. If everyone switches to it, then you have to beat apples with apples. And the team is easily beats, and is highly RNG dependent when you use the same teams on offense and defense. I know because I do this every day. I mean, if the other team, if you have a tie and your Executrix Executrix goes second just because of RNG, and they get the ability blocks and you get nothing because the ability blocks only 70% of the time, then RNG just screwed you and you're losing that battle. But if you get the ability block on their spy, you can win without them getting a reinforcement in. I mean, it's like it's so RNG dependent when it's as the same to same. But yeah, if you're talking about which uniquely different team is the best, absolutely the Geos, in my opinion, are the best. But I've been saying that since before Ships launched Ships 2.0 when I did my interview with the devs like 6 months ago. So that's not a secret. Like, Geos are good, always have been since Ships 2.0 inception. But with Executrix and Darth Vader, I talked about it about I don't know, a month ago on a video as well, because Darth Vader comes in and immediately gets offense up, and he hits for like 100,000+. 100,000 is an easy one-shot kill. But you know what else is really fun? Running the Geos, but putting in like another tank, an auto-taunting tank, which my suggestion would be the clone tank. Whatever the heck his name is, the clone tank. You know what I'm talking about? He taunts as long as he has protection. Mm-hmm. The clone guy, because he taunts, auto taunts, and they have to take his protection down, which allows you to get your first reinforcement in. Your first reinforcement in should be your Geo Soldier. Geo Soldier hits for over 100k, and so the beginning of the battle, their Geos get stunted. They do all their mass attacks, wasting all their mass attacks on your clone ship. And then your ship comes in, and whether the clone ship dies or survives barely, you now have your 3 Geos on point outside, and they're ready to rock and roll, and their Geos are all spent with special abilities, and now you get to carve through their team exactly how you want to carve through their team. So doing unique things like that, because a lot of people don't know, but Geo Soldier comes in, and he gets like 30% boosted offense, and for 2 turns, and it's all sorts of stuff, and he literally hit for over 100,000, just like Darth Vader. So he's a really fun addition as well. And then you can put Darth Vader in the second slot and have another one coming out that does like another 100,000. So there's some really fun combos out there. The one he's talking about is what is currently being used by literally everyone in my top 20 and has been for a couple of months. So it's good. It's just once everyone's doing it, it becomes less good.
Right. All right, see, next question. Daniel McCarthy. Question is, anyone seen Rex in top 50 arena anymore? There's 1 or 2, I think, in my shard that are running around, but they're becoming less and less there. What about you guys?
I use it, but I use it to climb. I don't leave it on defense because a Rex right now is kind of a target. But it's a good... I use and I've mentioned, like, I switch between a lot of teams to climb just to play counters, and so Rex, CLS, Han, Thrawn, and Nihilus, I use that to climb, and it works well against Emperor Palpatine teams. Even with Traya, it's a fairly easy counter to that team. So I'll also use it to climb, but I'm not leaving it on defense. So depending how many attacks and stuff I have.
I have 2 in my top 50. One is a Rex, Thrawn, Wampa, Han Solo, and General Kenobi. And then there's another one in the top 50 that's Rex, Thrawn, General Kenobi, Darth Nihilus, and Mother Talzin. So, yeah, Boulder. So, yeah, I think it's viable, but you're definitely going to fall farther, I think, with those teams than the other teams. I know the Rex teams that climb into the top 5 that are before me. When I go to pay out, I'm so happy when I see those because I can beat those in less than 60 seconds.
Right. It is what it is, right? All right. We have one more question. It's a fun question. Question for Mr. Penny Pinch. Question for Finn. Did you know you could save a lot of money by switching to Geico? No, seriously though. So you even lift? Good, laughing out. LOL. Good morning.
Hey.
What?
Hey.
Wait a minute. Finn,
hey.
Are you lifting? What you benching?
A Twinkie.
That's not a form of weight.
I lift the Twinkie straight from the wrapper into my mouth.
That's not weight training, Finn.
I didn't say I was.
But did you know you could save a lot of money by switching to Geico?
Yes, I did. Well, maybe it depends. It's most of the time that you can save it. It depends on what your insurance and stuff.
That's true.
You could. They're very clever. They put you could save a lot of money. You could also end up paying more. So
yeah, that's why you can use the price tool from Progressive to see if you can save more money with a Geico.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see what I did there.
So you use one company in order to go to another company, and then potentially end up with a third company. So
you end up with Allstate. All right, that's all the questions. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this fireside chat with Warrior today. Yeah.
And T-Money. We had T-Money at the beginning. Maybe she can.
She
can do all of Warrior
simping. I didn't see her at all in the Skype.
She introduced Warrior.
I've been here all day.
Oh, that's right. The Southern Belle T-Money. I'm sorry. Okay. Yep. See, I got
Apples and stuff.
She's gonna get you.
Yeah, she's gonna get me. She's gonna get me good. No.
Oh God, I cannot wait. Hopefully she's on tonight. Like, hey, T-Money, you did a great job on Jedi Academy this morning. She's like, I wasn't on Jedi Academy this morning. Au contraire, mon frere, you were indeed.
Then she'll end up doing impressions of me, and that's going to be super embarrassing for both of us.
She cannot do it. She does have a good pirate.
Her impression of me will be this. Puke.
And then you're like, pew pew. Gotcha. All right, let's go ahead and pimp the stuff and get on out of here. We want to first thank everybody for being here today. Hope we brought you guys some good Star Wars Galaxy Hero knowledge. Where can folks check you out? You've been putting out a lot of stuff.
Well, they can find me on my channels at Warrior Presents or Warriors roster reviews. By the way, I've gotten a lot of requests from people that said, what are some good territory war teams or territory battle teams or blah, 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 blah. You go to my roster reviews channel and you look at the titles of the different roster reviews, you'll find one that says like best Treya counters or best territory war defensive teams or best what. Dude, those are golden freaking nuggets. If people haven't gone to my roster reviews channel, they have no idea what they're missing. There's some insanely good info there. Those may be some low edited videos because they're minimalistically edited, but the information in them is gold in the game. So I would definitely choose that channel over my main channel when it comes to edification. But I'm also on the Reddit occasionally and the Facebook page occasionally with you and and Twitter at Warrior Present.
Yeah, if you guys haven't joined the Facebook group, it's an amazing group. You should check it out. I mean, we're always lurking there somewhere. Warrior lurks a lot more than I do. But there's some fun stuff I like to see in there. It's a good channel on Facebook. So that's Warrior. Make sure you guys check his channel out. If you haven't subscribed, I don't know why you're not. You should. So go there right now and subscribe and start giving those thumbs up to those videos. Same thing for this, guys. We really appreciate everybody's support. If you could support us again by giving us a thumbs up on the video, just go ahead and do it now. Give us that thumbs up. Helps us get the content out to a wider range of audience, and we really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed to either channel, why don't you just go and subscribe now? Obviously, you like listening to us talk and do all this stuff. Might as well subscribe so you know when we're doing our next videos and stuff. And also, we have our Patreon set up. If you would like to become a Patreon member, it is linked down below. You can support us that way. So, that being said, thanks everybody for being in the chat. We do this every Saturday from 10 to about when we're finishing up now, about 12 p.m. Eastern, where we just answer all your questions. There's a lot of other stuff that we're doing on our channel. We have the lunch streams we do Monday through Friday with Ross reviews and all kinds of fun stuff. We have the Wednesday night show, which we do 8 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays, which is the longest live streaming Star Wars Galaxy Heroes show in the community. We do some other things like tonight we'll do the Mature Channel show on the Mature Channel where we just drink, hang out, talk about whatever. We talk about the game, we talk about anything that comes up. We do Mad Libs, we do the match game, we have fun. It's just a chance for you guys to come hang out with us and just have fun. And then tomorrow we will do the D&D campaign, and that'll be at 5 p.m. Eastern. You can come check that out. And then during the week we do Battlefront. Tuesdays we've been doing Borderlands with Sabiff and Finn and the rest of the guys hanging out doing Borderlands. So we got a lot of stuff on the channel you can check out. So that being said, we really appreciate everybody being here today. If we didn't get to a question you have, come join our Discord. It's over 1,000 people in the community strong, and we are there to help you with any of your Star Wars Galaxy Heroes questions. That's what it's designed for. Come in, meet some great folks, hang out, have fun. That's why we have the Discord set up the way we do. So come hang out with us. You're more than welcome. So on behalf of myself, Dr. Finn, Medicine Woman, and the Great Warrior, thank you all for being here. Oh, I forgot about Southern Belle T-Money. She was here as well. Thank you all for stopping by. Have a great rest of your day, and we will haunt you later. Peace.